And joining us now is Harmeet Dhillon, who I regard as the most important free speech lawyer in America. Of course, she does other things too. Harmeet, great to see you. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us.
Thanks for having me, Ezra.
Well, I want to disclose to our viewers that you're not just an interesting commentator and expert that we talk to. You have in the past actually helped Rebel News as a lawyer as we've faced battles of free speech and cancel culture. So, we know your work is excellent. You're not just a talker, you're a doer. I don't even know how you get it all done. I see you on Tucker Carlson, I see you on the media. But for example, you were recently on the ground in Arizona going toe-to-toe with Democrat lawyers about the election shenanigans there. I don't know how you're literally all over America fighting for freedom. I don't know how you do it.
Well, it matters on what you prioritize in life. So for me, it's pretty much family and these free speech and freedom issues. And so while I sort of started out as a free speech lawyer and have really focused my career on that, you also realize that if you don't have the right laws in the government, if you don't have the right leaders who care about those issues, ultimately those words on paper don't matter. We saw that during COVID. You guys saw that in Canada, certainly, and you're continuing to suffer there a little more than we are, I think. And so I think these things go hand in hand. And if you really want to affect change, we have to take a big picture look at it. So I do work long hours.
Well, we're grateful that you do. I have to tell you, I felt like things were going in the wrong direction for a number of years. As a user of big tech platforms like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, Rebel News has faced demonetization and deplatforming, and I felt like it was only getting worse and they were getting more brazen. And then the 2020 election and frankly, the lackluster results in the U.S. Senate midterms. But I have to say I've been, as the kids say, white-pilled, as in I've been given a hope about the future by Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter and his emphasis on free speech and his revelations coming clean about what Twitter did in the past. I have to say, for the first time in a few years, I'm actually feeling hopeful again. I shouldn't say that because I'm tempting fate. What would you say is the state of freedom in big tech, online, on our phones, on our apps? Is Elon Musk a blip or is he maybe a new trend?
I would call Elon Musk a trend. I would say that, look, historically, overall, Twitter's censorship situation has really waxed and waned, and the recent revelation, earlier this month of the Twitter files by independent journalists Matt Taibbi and Barry Weiss working together has been an eye opener, and that was led by the owner of the company saying this needs to happen for freedom. I don't know his politics particularly, but he has said very strongly that the fact that certain lawyers and certain politicians meddled in the 2020 election is outrageous and can never happen again, that the government has meddled, that there have been all these communications from the government. He fired a former FBI lawyer who, was meddling with the release of those documents about Twitter shadow banning and, reading of people's direct messages and things like that. Now, you still look at some of the other tech platforms. Google has been, I would say, worse than Twitter in terms of YouTube suppression has been going on for years. I would not even call it suppression, I'd call it manipulation, boosting certain kinds of searches, deboosting certain kinds of searches. Like hate speech against Muslims is sort of treated differently than hate speech against Jews, for example, in a report that came out several years ago, things like that. Facebook is kind of all over the map. They, from you look at the testimony of Mark Zuckerberg in Congress, he seems to be confused by the whole thing and doesn't like censorship, but all the people he hires are in favor of it. And, of course, he may be speaking out of both sides of his mouth because he's played very heavily with his money in getting Democrats elected through, I would call pseudo nonprofit efforts with ballot harvesting and so forth. So I would call it complicated. But I do think that Elon Musk has led a new era of glasnost, if you will, online. And I hope to see more of that. And it's refreshing. I do feel like it's a new opportunity for us to have that conversation.
That's an excerpt from my show every night. It's called the Ezra Levant Show. That's me, Ezra Levant. You can see the whole thing behind our paywall. Well, there's a lot of goodies behind there. I do a show every weeknight. My friends Sheila Gunn Reid and David Menzies and Nat and Kat have their shows too. You get a ton of content for just $8 a month. There's so much in there you won't find anywhere else. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.